and say, okay, here's where we are. What do we have to do to get there? So I appreciate everyone's time. This is the third article, Article of Freedom, and about the right petition for redress agreements, and I encourage everybody to take a look. Question?
Were you a member of the Continental Congress then?
No, I was not a member of the Continental Congress. I was an actual staffer for it. I helped with the web development, the communications, and so forth. I didn't do a very good job if hardly anybody here heard of it yet. I did write about it when I got back in the Reader. I was considered the state coordinator for Iowa, but I dealt with a lot of national stuff. Jim Getman, who's sitting right here, he was a delegate. And the next question, of course, is who elected him? We only had 23 people vote in Iowa, everybody, so I'm not claiming that there's any sanction that, this is the will of the majority. But I will say, I encourage everybody from both sides of the aisle to look at the work product. You might find it refreshing. You might find it that it actually gives us a pathway to solve some of our problems. And there were serious people working very hard at this in St. Charles, Illinois.
The original Continental Congress led us to true revolution. I assume that is not where they're intending to go right now, though I'm not sure that that's not the right way.
The question is, actually, this is all about peaceful solutions. Absolutely, 100%. This is the, somebody once told me that a Congressman McDonald from Georgia, I haven't looked up the quote, but I found it fairly instructive, said that there's 4 ways that we protect our rights, 4 boxes: the soap box, the ballot box, the jury box, and the ammo box. Okay? And I would hope that we don't get to the 4th one. Absolutely. 100%. This is not our goal at all. That's why we're like, okay, gut check time. Here's the instructions, everybody. Take a look at this. This is what we can do to remedy, frankly, what we have allowed to break. It's not their fault. It's not boo bad government. It's boo bad us. We haven't held them accountable. We've been led down the primrose path of beat the other guy, vote the other guy out. And the pendulum just goes like this. And as you saw from that video, it was equal. Both sides of the fence have trashed our Constitution. I think most of us here know that. So I encourage you to take a look at this. Join us in Des Moines on April 19th to have a serious dialogue with leadership of the state. Find out how serious they are about solving problems rather than maintaining power. Because they are the servant, we are the master, we created this, that's how it should be.
Is there another national convention coming up?
Is there another Continental Congress coming up? There's some talk of it. There were several issues that didn't make it to the agenda for those 11 days. Bob wanted it to be 60 days at the outset, but it was just no way we could get the funding. We tried to raise money. It ended up being 11 days. And the primary one that was the biggest piece of drama at Continental Congress was a lot of people said, we can't even talk about any of this until we deal with the 14th Amendment and all the problems that it construes and so forth. And it was tabled. So I anticipate maybe there'll be an effort to have another one to address that. But my take is there's plenty on the plate. We've got plenty to solve here. And my focus, what I'm going to try and focus on for leadership in Iowa, is economic security in our state. I think the finances are the biggest problem we have.
Is the Continental Congress primarily focusing on the current Constitution, or do they have any intention of focusing on rewriting the Constitution, which is allowable under our current Constitution?
It is definitely not, what occurred was definitely not a constitutional convention. Obviously, you would hear about that if it was. And many of us are eschewing a constitutional convention. It's a Pandora's box. We should be able to work within the construct we have here. There are some who wanted to propose some clarifying amendments to clarify the language, and there's a movement for that, and that can be taken up at a later time. But right now, this is to defend the Constitution, not amend. That was the slogan there. And yes, sir.
Your articles here are very well reasoned. But how are you going to, on the other side of people like Rush Limbaugh, the extreme right, the shrill people, seems to me like, seems to me the American people are like a drug addict. Here you are trying to tell the addict, clean up. And here's the guy, pusher, saying, here, have another shot. How are you going to compete with that?
It's near impossible with the way mainstream media culture is and the way we're trained to just take the easy button to vote for somebody, and instead of getting engaged and understand what the issues are and deal with your state legislator and find out what the details are in your state. The thinking is much like Gandhi and much like Martin Luther King Jr. With 3 to 5% of people waking up and taking initiative and making an attempt to enforce these rights, to make sure these instructions are followed, that we can have an actual shift in the day-to-day operations and a restoration back to the Constitution. Ben.
I once heard somebody say, our Constitution means nothing to the people we elect. It means nothing to them.
The people that we elect, it means nothing to them?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're not enforcing it. We, the people, are not enforcing it. I mean, you heard Bob on the video talk about, when you get back to the actual origins of the petition, and I didn't want to bore you guys with a bunch of academic stuff, because I can show it to you, and it's really interesting if you're into this, okay, and it's important, it's instructive. But how did you enforce the petition back in the day, back in the Magna Carta, all the way leading up? It was because the citizens would withdraw their resources. The government wouldn't have anything to operate with. It's a third rail. Nobody wants to talk about that. But at the end of the day, if you continue to pay them, we get what we pay for. Okay, we're done. That was I got the hook. So thank you, everybody.